My name is Samantha Kendrick, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my mother, Pamela Kendrick, 11th of the 4th, 39, who is currently at Southern Cross, Mount Esk, Tasmania, home, Australia. She has undergone absolutely brutal treatment. This is a Commonwealth issue. I have actually lived in Australia, I've lived in Canada, and I've actually lived in America. So I've lived in these migrant countries, and I'm a big believer of the Commonwealth, and I had expected a lot more. I had also expected a lot more of the Queen. What I'm now going to tell you actually happens in all the Commonwealth countries. I realise when dealing with governments that anything emotional you don't like, so I will try and make it as brief as possible. The simple fact is I have been contacting all the Australian government, all the English government, and there's been no reply. Due to this, it has given me extent trauma, which I am now, I have enough now to claim refugee status in another country for me and my mum. Because of course all the time that you would, all this, trauma, brutal, physical and mental damage was being done to her, and all the time I was contacting the English government, and you didn't reply. Well, what did that do to me? It hurt the fuck out of me. What do you think it did? To the extent that it traumatized me, it stopped me from moving on. And one thing, before I was told when I got back, that the English do look after the elderly, and so I'm actually now considered the elderly. And so my future, when I think of England, I don't know. I'm not going to live like that. This all first started when my mother had breast cancer. She still got it. And she went into the hospital, that she had, the breast was off, and then came back, and all she got was a phone call, one phone call from from Launceston Hospital. There's been no checkup in over 2 years, and something happened, something that was very traumatic for her. And something happened to me in England. So she was targeted and I was targeted. Before I start, because the guardianship and the government, Australian government, have decided to whitewash this, but this is actually incredibly important. I'm one of the women that spoke out about Weinstein. I don't shut up about Green. I was very vocal about Maxwell. And all Maxwell did to me was, I met her once, and everything that those women say, that she says she has this patter and she gets everything out of you, and then and what she did was she threw my mother's name into the conversation. And I can honestly say probably about 2 or 3 times in my life, I felt something in my brain, and I literally felt my brain shut off. And I leaned forward, opened up my eyes for sincerity when she said my mother's name, and said, "Oh, do go on." That was survival mode completely. You're not supposed to live in survival mode, and all that has happened since my mother has been under the Tasmanian health system, I have lived on survival mode. You are born on this earth not to survive but thrive, and thrive to help others. No one has helped me or my mum. She's 80. Well, she's 82 now, because of this all started when she was 80. I'm going to jump back and forward. In the guardianship, the first thing they asked was when her mother died, and she died round about this age, and so they were very much, oh well, if your mother's dead at that age, well, it's your time's up next. It doesn't work out like that. But this goes to show that these people are very data orientated. Everything I now say, I've put on record over and over and over again. And before I start, you've got to think this is coming from somebody that as a teenager, when I saw a child very much in trouble, I immediately picked that child up and ran out the door. And there was some, grown-ups in hoods and dark outfits. This was a very, very scary thing for me. But you know what I did? I went in, picked that child up and ran out the door. And in my 30s, I was, if all it took was to put some lenses in, cat eye lenses, and walk into some tents where women were taken and get them out of there, well, then that's what you do. So when I have to contact all these government places, and you all do fuck all of you are the reason why 13-year-olds are going into places and picking up children. You are the reason why 30-year-olds are having to put cat eyes in and save women. Don't get me started on the trafficking thing. Just don't. But there is a connection. Now, we're very, very good in this world of saying, hiding in plain sight. But the reality is that the secret things that go on in the world, they're very much apparent. And there are things that go on in this world that stop people from moving forward. And her mindset was remembering, and it was actually breaking. I have gone through it. I've written about it. There's many people that write about it. The world is going through it. We're waking up, blah, blah, blah. So she was waking up. Waking up is not a pleasant experience. But it's very much needed. With each memory comes a letting go and becoming yourself again. So that's what was actually going on with her. And so she books herself into hospital. She wakes up, and Dr. Paik, who I want removed, and it's not a question of I want removed, he has to be removed now, and for his own safety. Like this version you've got happening, it's like no, if I'm rescuing children and having to put cat eyes in, I didn't do that alone. That Nori, the carer Nori, and Dr. Paik, both incredibly vicious. It's blatantly obvious who they've sided with, and they will need police protection. But she wakes up, and the doctor is standing over her, saying that I've given you shock treatment twice, and she's 80. Now, shock treatment. Now, before I left Australia, it was on the front page news that the Virgin Mary had been seen in Maroubra Beach. That's right. Of all the places in the world, that's where she's seen. There was a lot of aeroplane chemical things in the sky, and these things at the time I just did not understand. But I read a report that there was a shock treatment and sexual assault going on in elderly homes. Well, my brain couldn't comprehend that at all. Clearly there were holograms in Maroubra, and we now know those planes in the sky are not good. I if I've met Maxwell, and obviously I knew Weinstein, there's reasons why they do that terrible sexual assault. It's not for sex. It's all of this is connected, and so they give her shock treatment. She falls and she has a really bad bruise on her face. She walks out to the bathroom, and there's a reception area. And this was at, I think, Roy Fagan. It's got a brutal reputation. And she says to the woman, receptionist, or whoever it is, and says, "Oh, you won't do a thing, will you? You won't help, will you?" And so that tells me something. She just didn't fall in there. Something wasn't good. Apparently her face was so bruised, and so they kept her in. Well, obviously she couldn't walk around, could she? Someone would have reported them. Her friend Graham Walker then goes to legal aid and get her out, and they get her out. Then Nori steps in. And Nori is without a doubt, one of the most vicious women that I have ever come across. When women are exceptionally vile, you do have to charge them. It's not in women to to be so brutal. When she came out of